Remaining part of polity, I'm going to cover very first parliamentary system. The Constitution of India provides for a parliamentary form of government both at the center and in the states. Article 74 and 75 deal with the parliamentary system at the center, and Article 163 and 164 in the states. Modern democratic governments are classified into parliamentary and presidential on the basis of their nature, relationship of them with the executive and legislative organization organs of the government. The parliamentary system of government is one in which the executive is responsible to the legislature for its policies and acts. Then features of parliamentary government, you can say nominal and real executive, majority party rule, collective responsibility is there, political homogeneity, then double membership, leadership of the prime minister, dissolution of lower house, and segregacy. Features of presidential government, when we talk about, these are you can have an American constitution provides for the presidential form of government. It has both the head of state and the head of government is American president. The president is elected by an electoral college for a fixed tenure of 4 years. Then the president governs with the help of a cabinet or a smaller body called kitchen cabinet, and departmental secretaries were there. The president cannot dissolve the House of Representatives, the lower house of the Congress. Nature of the constitution: our constitution is quasi federal. Be careful, our constitution is quasi federal in nature, designed to work as a unitary government in emergency and federal government in normal times. Federal features are double seat of government, division of powers, two houses of parliament. And what are the unitary features of our constitution? A single citizenship, single constitution, single supreme court, appointment of governors, and financial dependence of states. Now I'm going to deal with president. President is covered in Article 52 to 78 in Part 5th of the Constitution. The Union Executive consists of President, Vice President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, and Attorney General of India. Be careful. Union Executive, what it means, like President, Vice President, PM, and Council of Ministers, and Attorney General of India. President is the executive head of the state. He is the first citizen of India. The executive powers vested in the president are to be exercised on the advice of Council of Ministers. 42nd Amendment of this Constitution has made it obligatory on the part of the president to accept the advice of Council of Ministers. What are the main qualifications? You can say must be citizen of India, 35 years of age, eligible to be a member of Lok Sabha, must not hold any office of profit. Exceptions: presidents and a vice president or governor of any state or minister of union or state you can appoint as president. Election 50, in Article 54 and 55 lay down the procedure of election of president. At least 50 electors as the proposers and 50 electors as the seconders. Every candidate has to make a security deposit of 15,000 and indirectly elected through electoral collage. Elected members of both of the houses of parliament, elected members of the legislative assemblies of the states are the participants of this election. But be careful, no nominated member will be the participation of in this election. So nominated members are not allowed. According to the 17th Amendment Act 1992, the expression states includes the National Capital Territory of Delhi and the Union Territory of Puducherry also. The total voting strength of the parliament is equal to the total voting strength of all the states assembly. Value of the vote of an MLA, how it was calculated: state population, then you can have a state population by 1000 into total members of elected MLAs of the states. So in this way, value of MP is also measured in total value of votes of MLAs of the all states by total numbers of elected MPs. LS, it means Lok Sabha, plus RS, it means Rajya Sabha. The 1971 census is currently under consideration. Then equatorial In the history of presidential election, VV Giri is the only person who won the election of the president as an independent candidate in 1969. So VV Giri is one of the president who won the election as an individual candidate. In July 1977, Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy was elected unopposed as no one else find a nomination for the post of president. So Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy in 1977 take oath because no nomination were there in the opposition of this. It takes oath in presence of Chief Justice of India. Terms and emoluments, 5-year term. Article 57 says that there is no upper limit on the number of times a person can become president. Can give resignation to vice president before full term. Okay, then impeachment, quasi judicial procedure, can be impeached only on the grounds of violation of constitution, 1/4 of the total membership of the house in Lok Sabha, and before the resolution could be passed, a 14 days notice must be given to the president. If after the notice the house passes the resolution by a majority of not less than two-third members of total membership, then it could be impeached. Presidents of India, I'm going to give you a shorter list. Very first president of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad in 1952 1962. Okay, then Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan 1962 to 1967. Dr. Zakir Hussain 67 to 69. Then VV Giri, then Justice M Habibullah, then VV Giri again, F Ali Ahmed, then F Ali Ahmed, Farooq Ali Ahmed, you can say, then BD Chatti, then Neelam Sanjeeva Reddy, Gary Jail Singh, R. Venkataraman, Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, then K.R. Narayanan, then Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, then Mrs. Pratibha Patel, then Pranab Mukherjee, then Ramnath Kovind. Now in Ramnath Kovind. So Ramnath Kovind joined as a president in 2017. Vacancy, in the cases of vacancy fall due to the death or resignation or removal, vice president act as president. The election is to be held within 6 months of vacancy. Only once in the history of India, Justice M. Hidayatullah, Chief Justice of Supreme Court, discharged as the duties of president in 1969. Justice Hidayatullah is the only person to perform the functions of the president two times in two different capacities. The first time in 1969 being the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and the second time being Vice President of India in 1982. So he was the only person who act as Vice President, as a President, and then Chief Justice of Supreme Court, and then act as President, Justice Hidayatullah. Powers, you can say executive powers. All executive actions of the government of India are formally taken in his names. Then legislative powers, you can say can summon and prorogue the sessions of the two houses, can dissolve Lok Sabha, can address both the houses jointly and separately, can send messages of both the houses, can enact laws through ordinance when the parliament is in recess. Article 123 gives this power to president. These ordinances must be passed by parliament within 6 weeks of reassembly. A 7-judge constitution bench of Supreme Court on Jan 2 2017 held that pre-promulgation of ordinances without being placed before the legislature was unconstitutional, as it amounted to bypassing the legislative body, which was a primary source of the law-making authority in a parliamentary democracy. Lays the reports of control CAG, UPSC, the Finance Commission, and others before the parliament. When a bill is sent to the president after it has been passed by the parliament, he can give his assent to the bill, or withhold his assent to the bill, or return the bill. If it is not a money bill or a constitutional amendment bill, for reconsideration of the parliament, although only once. He has some powers like 4 types: absolute veto, qualified veto, suspensive veto, and pocket veto. Absolute veto, that is withholding of assent to the bill passed by the legislature. Qualified veto, which can be overridden by the legislature with a higher majority. suspensive veto, which can be overridden by the legislature with an ordinary majority, and pocket veto, that is taking no action on the bill passed by the legislature. Of the above four, the president of India is vested with three only. So these are four powers which was enjoyed by presidents, but here our presidents have three powers: absolute veto, suspensive veto, and pocket veto. With absolute veto, withholding the assent of the bill. Okay, normally it is exercised only in the case of private members' will, and then a suspensive veto, the president exercises the veto when he returns a bill for reconsideration of the parliament. The president does not possess this veto in the case of money bill. Then pocket veto, the president could exercise this veto by not taking any action for an indefinite time. Okay, then he in 1986, the then president Jani Jail Singh exercised the pocket veto with respect to the Indian Post Office Amendment Bill. So the bill passed by the Rajiv Gandhi government imposed restrictions on the freedom of press and hence was widely criticized. The 24th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1971 made it obligatory for the president to give his assent to the Constitution Amendment Bill. Okay, financial powers, you can say all money bills can originate in Parliament only one on the recommendation of president. No demand for a grant can be made except on his recommendation. Contingency Fund of India to meet any unforeseen expenditure appoints Finance Commission that recommends distribution of taxes between union and state. Judicial power appoint the chief justice and the judges of Supreme Court and High Court. The president has pardoning powers like pardon, reprieve, remission, respite, and commutation. So what are these five powers means? Pardon means completely absolve the convict with its term. Then reprieve means implies a stay. Remission means reduce the period of time whatever is given to that victim, or to the convict. Then respite means awarding a lesser sentence, and commutation means substitution of that whatever judgment is there, substitution can be done. So these are the main part. Reprieve means in Hindi you can say dand viram, and remission means shama, and respite means mohalat, and commutation means vinay or badal dena. Under Article 161 of the Constitution, the governor of a state also possesses the pardoning power. Hence, the governor can also grant pardons. Reprieve is there, respite and remission of the punishment to, or suspend or remit the commute the sentences against a state law. But the pardoning power of the governor differs from that of the president in two respects. Like the president can pardon sentence inflicted by court martial, while the government cannot. So, court martial is the issue which is dealt with army, navy, and air force. So, governor cannot do this one, and the president can pardon death sentences while governor cannot. So death sentences can be pardoned with the president, only on the president, in the hand of president, but governor cannot. Military powers, he is the supreme commander of the defense of force of India. Diplomatic powers, represent country in the international forums. Emergency powers, national emergency in Article 352, president's rule Article 356, and financial emergency in Article 360. President, vice versa, council of ministers, you can say the 42nd Amendment Act made it clear beyond doubt that the president is constitutionally bounded by the advice of the council of ministers, and 44th Amendment Act further stated that the president can send the advice back for the reconsideration but only once. Now it's a turn off to understand the vice president. So the vice president occupies the second highest office in the country. He accorded a rank next to the president, and election is the same way. Indirect election is there, proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, and the vote being secret. Nominated members are also participate. So this is the difference between president election and vice president election. There nominated members will not be take part, but here nominated members can take part. The Supreme Court has the final and exclusive jurisdiction for the resolving disputes and doubts relating to the election of vice president. What are the qualifications? Citizen of India, 35 years of age, possess qualification of the members of Rajya Sabha, not hold any office of profit. The nomination of a candidate for election to the office of vice president must be subscribed by at least 20 electors as proposed or 20 electors as seconders. What it means, I don't really can't understand. The terms of office are really 5 years, removed by the resolution of Rajya Sabha, passed by the effective majority. And then powers and functions. So the vice president is the second highest dignitary in India, but he is also ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. And being the vice president of India, he is not entitled for any salary or any allowances payable. He is entitled to the salary and allowances payable to the as a chairman of Rajya Sabha. Can discharge the function of president if the post falls vacant for maximum 6 months. So this is really a very important point to remember. Now I'm going to tell you some vice presidents of India. Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan was the first one, 1952 to 1962. Then Dr. Zakir Hussain, V.V. Giri, Balswarup Pathak. Then Dr. M. Jatti, Justice Muhammad Hidayatullah, S. Venkat Raman, and then Dr. Sankalya Salma, K.R. Narayanan, then Krishna Kant, then Bhairav Singh Shekhawat, then Hamid Ansari, and then Venkaiah Naidu. Till that. Now, the Vice President of India is the visitor. The President of India is the visitor, and the Vice President India is the Chancellor, and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India is the Pro Chancellor of the Delhi University. So this is really very important of fact of you have to remember. The University of Delhi has the visitor as Prime President of India, then Chancellor as Vice President, and Pro Chancellor as the Supreme Court Chief Justice. Prime Minister, real executive of the authority. In Article 75, it was mentioned, says that Article 75 says only that the Prime Minister shall be appointed by the President. The leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha as the Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi. In the three Prime Ministers constitutionality, the Prime Minister may be member of any of the two houses. For example, three Prime Ministers, Indira Gandhi 1966, Dev Gowda 1996, and Manmohan Singh 2004 and 2009 were members of Rajya Sabha. So these three belongs to Rajya Sabha, like Indira Gandhi, Manmohan Singh, and Dev Gowda. Then the term of Prime Minister is not fixed, and he holds office during the pleasure of President. If he loses the confidence in the Lok Sabha, he must resign or in the front of President can dismiss it. Powers and functions. He recommends persons who can be appointed as ministers by the President. Prime Minister resigns. In other words, the resignation or death of an incumbent Prime Minister automatically dissolves the Council of Ministers and thereby generates a vacuum. He advises the President with regard to the appointment of important officials like Attorney General of India, CAG, then Chairman and members of UPSC, Election Commissioners, Chairman and members of Finance Commissioner, and so on. Then in relation to Parliament, he advises the President with regards to the summoning and proroguing of the Parliament. He can recommend dissolution of Lok Sabha. He announces government policies. Other powers and functions. He is the Chairman of Niti Aayog, National Development Council, National Integration Council, Interstate Council, and National Water Resources Council. Foreign policy of the country, he can decide. He is the chief spokesman of the Union government. Now I'm going to tell you the list of Prime Ministers of India. Jawaharlal Nehru, first one. He was in 1947 to 1964. Then Gulzarilal Nanda is the second prime minister. Then third one is Lal Bahadur Shastri. So be careful. Gulzarilal Nanda is there. His term was very short for 1 month, but he was there. So first one is Jawaharlal Nehru, then Gulzarilal Nanda, then Lal Bahadur Shastri, then again Gulzarilal Nanda. Okay, then Indira Gandhi, Morarji Desai, Charan Singh, Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, then VP Singh, Chandrasekhar, then PV Narasimha Rao, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, HD Dev Gowda, IK Gujral, Atal Bihari Vajpayee again, and then Atal Bihari Vajpayee again, then Dr. Manmohan Singh and Narendra Modi. Council of Ministers, the Prime Minister is appointed by the President, while the other ministers are appointed by the President on the advice of Prime Minister. This means that the president can appoint only those persons as ministers who are recommended by the prime minister. In this, three types of ministers are there: ministers of cabinet rank, real policy makers. The cabinet meetings are not attended by other ministers. Okay, then a minister of state can either hold independent charge or attached to the cabinet minister, or deputy ministers do not hold separate charge. They are attached to the cabinet ministers or ministers of state or assist them there in their duty. Collective responsibility to the Lok Sabha. The Council of Ministers has a collective responsibility. It is a team and its members sing or swim together. This is called collective responsibility. A vote of no confidence against any minister automatically leads to the resignation of the whole entire council. So, or it's dissemble by the president. A person can remain a minister without being a member of the either house up to 6 months maximum. A minister who is a member of one house has a right to speak in and take part in the proceedings of the other house, though he has no right to vote in the house of which he is not a member. Parliament is mentioned in Article 79 to 122 in Part 5th of the Constitution, deals with the Parliament. According to the Article 79, the Parliament consists of the President, the Council of States, it means Rajya Sabha, and the House of People, it means Lok Sabha. So the Parliament has laid down the following additional disqualification in the Representation of People Act 1951. He must not have been found guilty of certain election offences or corrupt practices in the elections. He must not have been convicted for any offence resulting in imprisonment or for 2 or more years. He must not have been dismissed from government service for corruption. So these are some more important points are there. Secretary General of Lok Sabha is appointed by the Lok Sabha Speaker in consultation with Prime Minister and Leader of Opposition. Quorum, penalty, privileges of MPs. Quorum is the minimum number of members required to be present in the House before it can transact any business. It is 1/10 of the total members of number of members. So quorum means 1/10 of the members should be present in there, including presiding officers. So presiding officers you should count. It means that there must be at least 55 members present in Lok Sabha and 25 members present in Rajya Sabha if any business is to be conducted. If a person sits or votes as a member of either House of Parliament before he has compiled with the requirements of Article 99, then it should also votes or a penalty of 500 something. Member of Parliament enjoys immunity from arrest 40 days before the commencement and 40 days after the prorogation of the session. Also, an MP enjoys freedom of speech, providing immunity from court action for anything said in the House. Disqualification on the grounds of defecation. The question of disqualification under the 10th schedule is decided by the chairman in the case of Rajya Sabha and the speaker in the case of Lok Sabha. Vacating of seats, double membership, resignation, and absence. If a house can declare the seat of a member vacant if he is absent from all the meetings for a period of 60 days without its permission. So then salaries and allowances, no provision of pension in the constitution. There is no pension given to them. Then Lok Sabha, maximum strength 550 plus 2. Two members nominated by the president from Anglo-Indian Committee. This one is deleted now. So here is no this type of provision. Then the 84th Amendment to 2001. 84th Amendment 2001 extended freeze on Lok Sabha and State Assembly seats till to 2026. Okay, so 2026 it was freezed. The qualification to become a member is citizen of India, at least 25 years of age, has registered as a voter in any parliamentary constituency. Okay, speaker, what are the speaker's role? Presiding officer is speaker. The members among themselves elect them. So usually the speaker after his election cut off all connection with the party and acts as a impartial manner. He does not vote in the first instance but exercises casting vote only to remove a deadlock. The speaker sends his resignation to deputy speaker. Effective majority of Lok Sabha can remove a speaker after giving a 14-day notice. I'm going to tell you some speakers of Lok Sabha. J.V. Mavlankar was the first one in 1952 to 1956. Then M.A. Iyengar, 1956 to 57. Now, in 2014, Sumitra Mahajan was there, and many of them are changed many time to time. Then Rajya Sabha maximum strength 250. President nominate 12 members amongst persons having special knowledge or practical experience in the fields of literature, science, art, and social services. Presently, the Parliament by law has provided for 233 seats for the states and union territories. The total membership of Rajya Sabha is thus now 245. Representative of state are elected by member of state legislative assemblies on the basis of proportional representation through a single transferable vote, no secret ballot. States are represented on the basis of their population. There are no seats reserved for scheduled caste and ST in Rajya Sabha. So be careful. SC and STs are not there in Rajya Sabha. There is no reservation, but Lok Sabha has some reservation. The qualification to become a member was the citizen of India, 30 years of age, has registered as a voter, and representation of seats and union territories we can call about. So important states I'm going to tell. Very first, UP. It has a Lok Sabha seat 80 and 31 in Rajya Sabha. Then we will talk about Delhi. Delhi has Lok Sabha seat 7 and Rajya Sabha seat 3. Okay, and Lakshadweep and Puducherry, they are having 1-1. But Rajya Sabha seat was not there in Lakshadweep. Then we are going to talk about MP, Madhya Pradesh, 29 seats of Lok Sabha and 11 seats of Rajya Sabha. Then Gujarat, 26 seat of Lok Sabha and 11 seat of Rajya Sabha. Okay, then Odisha, you can say 21 seats of Lok Sabha and 10 seats of Rajya Sabha. Then we have Bihar, 40 seats of Lok Sabha and 16 seats of Rajya Sabha. Then 48. Now it's really a big number. Maharashtra has 48 number as Lok Sabha and 19 seats for Rajya Sabha. So these are there. Then special powers of Rajya Sabha, when we talk about a resolution seeking the removal of the vice president, can originate only in Rajya Sabha if Rajya Sabha passes a resolution by majority of not less than 2/3 of the members present and voting that is necessary. In the national interest, the parliament should make laws with respect to any matters enumerated in the state list. It shall be lawful or for parliament to make law for a period or not more than 1 year. All India services are those services which are common to both central and states governments. Okay, at present there are 3 All India services: Indian Administrative Service (IAS), Indian Police Service (IPS), and Indian Forest Service (IFS). The members of these services are recruited and trained by the central government, but are assigned to different states for work. They belong to different states cadres. The center having no cadre for its own in this regard. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the chief protagonist of all India services in Constituent Assembly. Hence, he came to be regarded as the father of all India services. Constitution empowers Parliament to make laws on state list under the following provisions: when Rajya Sabha passes the resolution, in case of national emergency, when states make request to implement international agreements, and during president rule. Duration of Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha, first constituted in 1952, is a continuing chamber, that is, it is a permanent body and not subject to dissolution. However, 1/3 of its members retire every second year. This constitution has not fixed the term of office of members of the Rajya Sabha and let it to the parliament. Accordingly, the parliament in the representation of the People's Act 1951 provided that the term of office of a member of a Rajya Sabha shall be 6 years. Chairman, vice president is the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. However, the Lok Sabha speaker has 2 special powers which are not enjoyed by the chairman. The speaker decides whether a bill is a money bill or not, and his decision on this question is final, and the speaker presides over the joint sitting of the 2 houses of parliament. The deputy chairman is elected by the Rajya Sabha itself from the amongst in their members. Deputy chairman is not subordinate to the chairman. He is directly responsible to the Rajya Sabha. Leaders in parliament under the rules of Lok Sabha. The leader of house means prime minister. Leader of house in the Rajya Sabha. There is also a leader of house in Rajya Sabha. He is the minister minister and the member of Rajya Sabha and is nominated by the Prime Minister to function as such. Leader of opposition in each house of the parliament, there is the leader of opposition, the leader of the largest opposition party having not less than 1/10 seats of the total strength of this house is recognized as the leader of opposition. In that house, he is given the salary and other facilities of the cabinet ministers. Okay. Whip is as an assistant and floor reader. Every political party it has its own whip. Okay, in the parliament he is charged. He is charged with the responsibility of ensuring the attendance of his party members in large numbers, and the members are supposed to follow the directives given by the whip. Otherwise, disciplinary actions can be taken. The stages of passage of bills. So, ordinary money and financial and a constitutional amendment type of bills are there. So four types of bills are there: ordinary, money, financial, and constitutional. So financial bills are two types: financial bills, one financial bills, second money bill, and financial bill first cannot be introduced in the Rajya Sabha. So be careful, financial bill are having two types: money bill plus financial bill type of one is not introduced in Rajya Sabha. The other bills can be introduced in the either house. Otherwise, bills are of two types: government and private members bill. Government bills are introduced in the parliament by a ministers only, whereas private members bill is introduced by any member of parliament other than a minister. After the bill has been introduced in the House, it is published in the Gazette of India. The introduction of the bill and its publication in the Gazette constitutes the first reading of the bill. Second reading of the bill done when the first stage consists of general discussion and the principle of the bill. Second stage relates to discussion of the clauses, schedules, and amendments. So third reading of the bill done. Then money bill, I'm going to talk about. Article 110 of the Constitution deal with the definition of money bills. Money bills can be related with the imposition, abolition, remission, alteration, regulation of any tax, the regulation of borrowing of the money by a union government, the custody of consolidated fund of India and contingency fund of India, and the payment of money into or the withdrawal of the money from such funds. If any question arises whether a bill is money bill or not, the decision of Lok Sabha Speaker is the final. After a money bill passed in the Lok Sabha, it is transmitted to the Rajya Sabha for its consideration. The Rajya Sabha has restricted powers with regard to a money bill. It cannot reject or amend a money bill. It can only make the recommendations. It must return the bill to the Lok Sabha within 14 days with or without recommendations. Thus, the Lok Sabha has more powers than the Rajya Sabha with regard to a money bill. On the other hand, both of the houses have equal powers with regard to an ordinary bill. Cannot return the bill for consideration. So this is important. Finally, when a money bill is presented to the president, he may either give his assent to the bill or withhold his assent to the bill, but cannot return to the bill for reconsideration. Financial bills are having the other money bills. Article 10, financial bill 1, financial bill 2. There, all money bills are financial bills, but all financial bills are not money bill. So it's important to all money bills are financial bills, but all financial bills are not money bills. Joint session article 108 is presided over by the Speaker of Lok Sabha. No fresh amendment can be made in joint session. Since 1950, the provision regarding the joint sitting of the two houses has been invoked only thrice. The bills that have been passed at joint settings are Dowry Prohibition Bill in 1960, Banking Service Commission Repeal Bill 1977, and Prevention of Terrorism Bill in 2002. So these much you have to remember. Okay. Then sessions of Parliament at the desertion of President gap shouldn't be more than 6 months. Budget session, monsoon session, and winter session. Budget session is February to May, longest session, and monsoon session is July to August, and winter session will be like November and December. This is the shortest session of the Parliament. Prorogation of the House means ending the session. It is announced by the President of India. Pending bills, businesses does not lapse perhaps they are taken in the next session. Dissolution of House only of the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha being a permanent house is not subject to the dissolution. Question R. The first hour of the every sitting in the both houses 11 to 12 a.m. In this question are asked by the members and answered by ministers. Three types of questions: start questions, unstart questions, and short notice questions. Start questions: one member can ask only one per question per day. Sorry, one member can ask only one per question per day, for which oral answer is required. So start questions need oral answer, unstart questions need written answer, and short notice question are the ones which relates to matters of urgent public importance and can be asked by members with notice shorter than 10 days. They are unanswered orally only. Now it's time to understand budget. Budget, the constitution refers to the budget as the statement. Annual financial statement. In other words, the term budget has nowhere mentioned in a constitution. Article 112 of the constitution related with annual financial statement. It is presented in Lok Sabha upon the recommendation of president. It is presented by finance minister. So it has appropriation bill and finance bill. Kinds of funds. The constitution of India provides for the following three kinds of funds in the central government: consolidated fund of India, article 266; public accounts of India, article 266; and contingency fund of India, article 267. So very first, consolidated fund of India. It is the fund or to which all the revenue, loans raised and income of the government of India are deposited. No money can be spent out of this fund except through the grants made by the parliament and expenditure charge of the consolidated fund of India. Charge expenditure that do not require the approval of parliament. According to Article 112, Part-3, the following are the sum charge expenditure on the Consolidated Fund of India: the emoluments and allowances of the President and other expenditure relating to his officers, salaries and allowances of Chairman, Deputy Chairman, Rajya Sabha, Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha, debt charges for which the Government of India is liable, salaries, allowances and pension payable to the judges and Chairman of UPSC, CAG and all. Okay, then public account of India, all other public money other than that which is credited in the Consolidated Fund of India, received by or on behalf of the Government of India shall be credited to the public account of India. This includes provident funds, provident fund deposits, judicial deposits, saving bank deposits, departmental deposits and remittances and all. This account is operated by executive action. That is, the payments from this account can be made by without parliamentary appropriation, and then such accounts are mostly in the nature of banking transactions. Then contingency fund of India at the disposal of the president to enable him make advances to meet urgent unforeseen expenditure pending authorization by the parliament. The corpus for union government at present is rupees 500 crore. Similarly, contingency fund of each state government is established under Article 267 Part-2 of the Constitution. 0 hour from 12 to 1 p.m. PM daily. Time allotted every day for miscellaneous businesses, call attention notices, questions on official statements and adjournment motions. Motion, it is a proposal brought before the House for its opinion and decision. It is of various types: privilege motion, censor motion, no conference motion, call attention motion, adjournment motion, cut motion and all. So very first, privilege motion, a resolution introduced by the opposition that a minister has misled the House by giving wrong information. Then censor motion can be removed only in Lok Sabha only by the opposition. So censor motion is only moved by the opposition party. Then no confidence motion can be moved only in Lok Sabha and only by the opposition. It can be brought only against the Council of Ministers and not against any individual minister. The motion needs the support of 50 members to be admitted. Further, unlike censure motion, confidence no confidence motion need not set out any specific ground. If the motion is adopted by the House, the Council of Ministers is bound to resign. Call attention motion: a member calls the attention of a minister to any matter of urgent public importance. There is no call attention motion in the Rajya Sabha. Instead, there exists a motion called motion for papers. Adjournment motion leads to setting aside the normal businesses of the House for discussing a definite matter of urgent public importance. It needs the support of 50 members. Then cut motion. Its discussion should last for not less than 2 hours and 30 minutes. So 2.5 hours allotted for adjournment motion. Cut motion, they are moved in the Lok Sabha only. Cut motions can be divided into 3 categories: policy cut, economic cut, and token cut. So policy cut, a cut motion which says the amount of the demand be reduced to rupee 1, implies that the mover disapproves of the policy. Economic cut reduce the amount of the expenditure, and the form of the motion is the amount of demand be reduced by rupees dash dash a specified amount. Then token cut, the amount of the demand be reduced by rupees 100. Committee system. The functions of the parliament are varied, complex, and voluminous. Moreover, it has neither the adequate time nor necessary expertise to make a detailed scrutiny of all legislative measures and other matters. Some important terms are there which is related to parliament: whip, lame duck session, snap vote, gerrymandering, then speaker pro tem, and guillotine. So I'm going to discuss these one by one. Whip, a directive issued by any political party to ensure the support of its member voting in favor of or against a particular issue of the floor of the House. A person may lose the membership of a party and the legislature if he votes against the whip or abstains from voting. Lame duck session, this refers to this last session of the existing Lok Sabha, which is held after the new Lok Sabha has been elected after the general election. The lame ducks under it are those members who were part of the old House but could not get re-elected for the new House. Snap vote refers to a vote taken unexpectedly without voters being briefed or informed about it in advance. Gerrymandering means it is the reorganization of electoral districts attempted by the party to gain some electoral advantages in the forthcoming election. Speaker pro tem, as soon as a new Lok Sabha is constituted, the president appoints a speaker pro tem who is usually the senior most member of the House. In case the weightage is given to the member's age, his functions including administering the oath to the newly elected Lok Sabha members and presiding over the selection of the new speaker. Guillotine, when due to lack of time, demand for grants are put to vote whether they are discussed or not in the House on the last day of the allotted time, it is called guillotine. So here I'm going to discuss about some committees. Committees are classified in 2 types: standing committees and ad hoc committees. The standing committees may be classified as follows, like financial committees, like public account committee, estimate committee, and committee of public undertaking. Then departmental standing committee, these are 24 in numbers. Then committee to inquire, like committee to petition, committee to privilege, and ethics committee under committee of to inquire. Then committees to scrutinize and control. Then committees relating to the day-to-day business of the House, housekeeping committees or service committees. Members of Rajya Sabha are associated with all the committees except estimates committee. So this point you have to note down. Then estimates committee members are not related with Rajya Sabha. The members of committee are generally elected for not more than 1 year. Supreme Court of India we are going to discuss. So before this we want to discuss the similarities between Public Account Committee and Estimate Committee. Both are financial committees and both are standing committees of Parliament. Members of both are elected and chairman of both are nominated by the speaker. A minister cannot be member or chairman of any of them. A minister cannot be member or chairman of any of them. So differences between Public Account Committee and Estimate Committee: while Public Account Committee has 22 members, 15 Lok Sabha and 7 Rajya Sabha, Estimate Committees has only 30 members. Then while PAC means Public Account Committee, okay, while PAC members belong to both both of the houses, estimate committee members belongs to Lok Sabha only. While PAC chairman is from opposition, estimate committee chairman is always from the ruling party or dispension. Then fourth point is, while estimate committee scrutinize the estimate, PAC scrutinize the appropriation and manner of spending. This work of estimate committee is ex ante analysis, while that of PAC is ex post facto analysis. Now let's quickly recap Supreme Court of India. January 28, 1950, it is succeeded the Federal Court of India. Article 124 to 147 in Part 5th of the Constitution deal with various provisions of Supreme Court. Consists of Chief Justice and 34 judges. Okay, 33 judges. Appointment of judges. Honorable Supreme Court of India on October 16, 2015 quashed the National Judicial Appointment Commission NJAC Act and declared the 99th Amendment to replace the collegium system of appointment of judges to the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. Okay, then qualifications of judges. Citizens of India have been a judge of High Court 5 years or an advocate of High Court minimum 10 years. Okay, this then oath, tenure and salary. Oath to a judge of Supreme Court is administered by president or some person appointed by him. Same for CJI. The Constitution has not fixed the tenure of judge for the Supreme Court. The Chief Justice and other judges hold office till 65 years of age. Then a removal of judges. A motion seeking the removal of the judges can be presented before of the House of Parliament. If it is to be introduced in Lok Sabha, it should be signed but not less than 100 members of Lok Sabha, and if it is in Rajya Sabha, it should be signed with 50 members. The resolution should be passed or supported by a majority of total membership of the both of the houses by 2/3 majority of the members presenting and voting. The grounds of removal are two: proved misbehavior or incapacity. These are the two grounds: proved misbehavior and incapacity. Then Chief Justice of India Hiralal J. Kania was the first one in 26/1 to 1952, 26/11 1951. Then second one is MP Shastri. Okay, now J.S. Bobde is our Chief Justice. The Chief Justice or a judge of the Supreme Court. It's interesting to know that no of the judges impeached so far. The first and the only case of impeachment is that of Justice V. Ramaswamy of the Supreme Court 1991 and 93. The Chief Justice can appoint ad hoc judges. Okay, then we are going to discuss jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Original jurisdiction: the Supreme Court settles all disputes between center, state and state. Writ jurisdiction: every individual has a right to move the Supreme Court directly by appropriate proceeding for the enforcement of fundamental rights. Appellate jurisdiction: the Supreme Court is primarily a court to appeal and hear the appeals against the judgment of the lower courts in threefold: constitutional, civil and criminal. Constitutional matter, an appeal lies in the Supreme Court of High Court certifies that the question of law is there. Then civil, substantial question of law is general importance, and criminal has or appeal reverse the order of acquittal of an accused, sentence of him for death and all. Advisory jurisdiction: the Constitution Article 143 authorize the President to seek the opinion of Supreme Court in the two categories on any question of the law or fact of public importance which has arisen or which is likely to arise, and then on any dispute arising out of any pre-constitution treaty, agreement, convent engagement, sanad or other similar institutions. Revisory jurisdiction: the Supreme Court under Article 137 is empowered to review any judgment or order made by it. Court of record: the judgment, proceedings and acts of Supreme Court are recorded for perpetual memory and testimony. Power of judicial review: judicial review is the power of Supreme Court to examine the constitutionality of legislative enactment and executive orders of both the central and the states government. The Supreme Court decides disputes regarding the election of the President and the Vice President. The Supreme Court recommends the removal of a chairman and members of UPSC to the President. Public interest litigation: any member of the public can now initiate a proceeding on behalf of the aggrieved person in the form of PIVL in either High Court or Supreme Court. This derives from the right to be heard as implied by Article 21. Justice P.N. Bhagwati and Justice V.R. Krishna Iyer were among the first judges to admit PIL in the court in 1981. Other portion, remaining portion of the polity, I will discuss in the third polity part. Okay, in that I will cover the whole one and then finish the video. Thank you. Thanks a lot.